Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's coffee chat. We're getting in quite a fun habit here, doing these every morning. I hope that you guys are joining us on those because we've been trying to bring together really smart people that have really practical, actionable information for you to just ride this whole thing out, and then ideally prepare yourself to have an incredible rest of the year once the floodgates open again. So today we've got Mike Menard with us here from Delta Media Group. I'm going to just do a little bit of logistics and I want to introduce him and then we'll jump in. So many of you may be using Zoom these days. I don't know, but I wanted to just remind you with how GoToMeeting works. There's just a little on the right hand side. There's a question bar. If you just click on that, you'll see a little gray triangle there. If you click on that, open it up. You'll be able to ask us a question, and feel free to do that at any time during the session. This is really a conversation, and Mike's got a lot of great information of things his company's been doing, but he's been talking to, of course, agents and brokers all over the country regularly, so he's going to share a lot of great stuff with us. And for what it's worth, and this is coming from our CTO, and Mike, I don't know how you feel about this, but if you may have been reading recently about some of the Zoom security concerns, our CTO is recommending that if you have the app downloaded on your phone or on your computer, that you get rid of those and that you use Zoom only from the web browser perspective. I don't know, Mike, if you guys are feeling the same way, but that's what he's recommending that we do. So for what it's worth, a little bit of Zoom advice for you. So let's just jump in. So Mike is the Chief Executive Officer and the owner of Delta Media Group. And I got to tell you, we talked about this just a couple of months ago on the Wave Group blog and on RA Technology. He's spent a ton of money on his business recently, bringing his platform completely up to speed, using today's and latest technologies with all the goal of making it much easier for him to create innovative solutions quickly for his brokers and, of course, all the agents that work with him. So thank you, Mike, for, as a personal person, standing up without a venture capital firm or any of that stuff behind you to do the right thing for your customers. We really appreciate that. So welcome. Great to have you today. So Mike's going to talk to us today about sort of well, he could probably give us 25 tips, but he's going to talk about 5 different ways for that he's seen that agents are doing things to be really successful. But before we jump into that, what are you hearing these days about how's the market doing? What's happening with your company and your family? Is everything good good to go with COVID, or how just give me an update on what are you hearing out there about what's happening right now?
Yeah, so I think that's a really good question because, and also I think we should kind of give perspective to it because for some people, I'm located in Northeast Ohio, which is not a hot spot, but we have large clients all across the country. So we have actually seen the impact of COVID-19 since actually mid-February for some clients, especially in the Pacific Northwest,
right? Or
even more immediate, let's say the past 3 weeks. New York has been hit hard, and and we're seeing regionalized impact with that just as far as the industry. But but for us, I think for a lot of us have those anecdotal stories. We have friends that have it. They're at home. They're fine. Wow. Their 11-year-old has it. And it's so in hindsight, it'll be interesting. My wife and I hope to get tested for the antibodies because in hindsight, we think that both of us actually had it about a month ago and didn't realize. At the time, we thought it was just, wow, you've never had the flu like that, but in hindsight, maybe this is what it was. We don't know. But I think we'll have a lot of anecdotal things like that. But one thing that I am seeing, though, too, is there's like 2 groups of people. I like to talk about it this way, and we have a church group where we talked about it this way. There's 2 groups of people. I think there's a group that you'll panic, you get stressed about this, and I think we all admit it. We've all gotten stressed.
Yes,
but either you get stressed and you panic and you kind of freeze, and then there's the other, and I kind of fall in this bucket is there's a situation, you see it, you analyze it, and then it's like, okay, let's get busy, let's get to work.
Exactly.
Which is not normal for most people. But I think that's something good that we could all hear right now, is especially in our industry, because closings are still happening in some markets. I can tell you, I talked to some of the top realtors. They're like, I haven't actually slowed down. I still had 3 closings this week. I had, and you talk to others, and that's not the case. I just talked to Pennsylvania yesterday. They can't even enter a house. So, there's those issues going on too. So, but I think now is the time.
Like every 15 minutes. Like in California where I live, there was like 3 weeks ago, they said put all of your current active listings on hold or withdraw them. And of course, the whole industry was like, what? And then a day later, they said, oh no, now we're an essential service again and we're okay. So yeah, that's one thing that I think we all need to do is stay really close to your association, to your local government officials, because every county's dealing with these things differently, and literally it can change by the hour on what is possible and what you can and what you cannot do. So you're right, it's so difficult to get your arms around it because it's changing all the time. I was talking to some folks in Colorado yesterday, and as we were speaking, their governor was on talking about what it means and what it does. It's crazy. So you just got to stay close to it.
Yeah. And I think though that, as we wade through this, I mean, most of us now are a month into this. I know I closed down our office at Delta about 4 weeks ago now, and I did that proactively. We just had, we had some staff members that were, we had one in particular, her dad was just diagnosed with cancer, going through chemotherapy.
Oh, wow.
So she had those concerns.
Right.
And I just thought, wow, that's not good, that we have people stressing about that coming to the office because they love the work, but they're stressed being at the office. So I decided to proactively shut down the office, and we could all telecommute. So we've been doing that. That's been an adjustment, working from home, for everyone. But, but we've done that. And, but I also think right now there's huge opportunity for everyone that's on this webinar right now, if we frame it properly.
I agree. That I've been doing these every day, which has been really fun. And I've also been working with Realtor.com. They have one, and if you haven't checked it out, it's another great one. It's a Facebook Live called The Huddle every Thursday with Andrew Dorn. And he's been bringing on highly successful, highly motivated broker owners and agents. And I got to tell you, half of the battle, if not more, is the attitude, right? Every one of them has gotten to work, done exactly what you said, Mike. So without any further ado, let's just jump in. Tell us, what should we be doing? So here's your first slide. Let's just walk through this. What's the first thing that everybody needs to get their arms around before, we're going to talk about 5 different areas today. What's the first one?
Yeah, so I tried to come up with a list of 5 areas that you could be paying attention to. And from my perspective, these are really important. And these are areas that I see top agents paying attention to. And so the first one that I actually have listed here is that embracing change. And I would, if I could critique the industry, I think this is an industry that historically has been slow to embrace change, especially technology. We tend to fight it. We don't say that, but we tend to not want to learn it or adopt it. But it's funny, once you say, and you know this, Marilyn, once you show an agent how to do something like a virtual open house, that seems really intimidating if you've never done one. Once you show an agent how to do one, it's like, oh, I can do that.
It's not that big a deal.
They do
them all the time. You just do them walking around. It's the same thing. But yeah, I heard a really interesting statement came from one of the leaders at the Association of ASAE, Association of Association Executives. And they said, we're not talking about a new normal. We're talking about a next normal.
Yes.
And so once you learn how to do a virtual open house, it doesn't mean it has to stop the minute that these shelter-in-place orders are, they could be really, really helpful in a lot of different contexts.
Yeah, and I do think that everyone, all realtors need to learn how to do a virtual open house and how to do a virtual showing. They're easy to practice. They're easy to do. You can pre-record them. You don't have to do the virtual open house live. That can present its own issues. Actually, I don't even recommend doing them live personally. You may want to, that's fine, but I don't recommend it. But here's the thing, what we have to realize is what we're going through right now, these might be things that we think, oh, we might have to do these for now, but these are some new norms being established for some people. So some of your clients, for a long time to come, they'll be very hesitant, very concerned over germs, over this whole area of things.
Absolutely.
Just very concerned about it. So you need to be embracing the technology.
Well, and I heard yesterday, we were on the call with Dan Walters, who's from the largest, Robert Slack. It's the largest team in Florida. I think they have like 500 agents across the state. And while we were talking about it, and we were on a Facebook Live, one of their agents popped in and said, we've heard a lot of concern that people feel like, well, I could never sell a house with a virtual open house. That people have to physically touch it, right? And in Florida, they've always had virtual open houses in effect because people buy, it's a second home market, right? So people buy it from all over the world. But what he was saying is that he's just seen recently that people are willing to actually close a house with a virtual open house.
Yes, they are. Yeah, I heard a story yesterday.
That's
Absolutely.
a major shift. So people were like, oh, well, I can do it, but it's still going to stop me from closing. It's like, no, everybody's learning a next normal, right? So consumers are starting to get comfortable with this idea as well. So it's really exciting, I think. But anyway, keep going. Sorry.
Yeah, so I think that's really important. And I need to underscore, because we saw a need for this, so we reacted kind of quickly as a tech provider, and we developed some tech for our clients and launched it, about 2.5 weeks ago now or so. But where it's one thing to have the technology, it's another thing to do it. So what we have found is the training is really important. And even in our conversations with MLSs, we deal with nearly 400 across the country. There's a lot of interest there as well on how to train. And as you know, Marilyn, it's pretty straightforward. We had well over 1,000 agents registered for 2 webinars that we did just this Wednesday on how to run a virtual open house. So there's a tremendous amount of interest and hunger, which I think is healthy. So I think that's one thing that we need to learn how to use, the other apps that are out there, including FaceTime, and if you don't FaceTime at all, just things like that on FaceTime, GoToMeeting, Zoom. There are. I would concur. I think there's some security concerns there, but Zoom is working to mitigate those and to address those, which I think is a positive. So anyhow, just embracing that change. And when I say embracing it, now is the time to learn these things. You have some additional downtime. Learn these things now.
Well, the thing is, I think everything you've described there, with maybe an exception of maybe a Zoom upgraded product, none of these cost you anything. That's the thing. If this had happened 10 years ago, we would have been in a very, very different place. But now there's so much live video technology available, like literally in the palm of your hand, that it's not nearly as difficult as it used to be. So that's the one positive I would say about timing of what's happening right now.
Yeah, and there's one, and I'll use this to kind of segue into the next item, but there's one thing that I think is really important that is missed out as well with virtual open houses, because I've heard anecdotally and from agents locally here that I've talked to directly that, and I'll just throw this out there. Hey, I tried to run a Facebook Live, and no one showed up to it. And I asked the question, well, what did you do to promote it? And they said, well, not. I announced it on Facebook, or not much, basically. And I think one of the things that you have to do, I don't think I know this, one of the things you have to do with a virtual open house in order to be successful is approach it just as you would any other open house. You have to market it.
Absolutely.
You have to.
And to marketing is essential. Like to the people that already know you. So this is something we do this a lot with RE Technology, but even for Coffee Chat specifically, if you have a sphere that's loaded into a database that's emailable, doesn't mean you can't email them to tell them about a Facebook Live, right? You can cross promotional platforms, if you will. You don't have to only use Facebook, especially if you haven't done it before and people aren't used to you doing that. And if you're not comfortable with something that's live, because I can tell you that's kind of stressful sometimes, using a Zoom or a GoToMeeting or something like that, it's not as, you don't have to worry about all the Facebook Live technology in addition. It's just you turn it on and turn your camera on, hit share, and away you go, right? So just do whatever is whatever most comfortable to you right now. And FaceTime, if that's what you have, FaceTime's just fine. That's so easy, right? And especially if you have somebody that's really serious about a house. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, I would say this. The one thing that I hope that we see out of this, again, all of you probably have a smartphone, so you have all the tools that you need in the palm of your hand already to do this. I hope one of the things that we see out of this is that the industry really does embrace doing a recorded walkthrough video with a smartphone. It's not a production quality video, but that's not what people want. They want that walkthrough where you're walking me through that home virtually and doing a walkthrough, a 20-minute walkthrough, whatever it takes to walk through. You can host it on YouTube, you can host it on Facebook, and then you could market that video. And again, I think that's going to really fundamentally change some things here. in how we do market real estate as well, for the positive, as we work through this. So, and with that, I kind of wanted to chat about marketing.
Yeah. Okay.
The one huge differentiator that I see with really successful sales associates is they do a phenomenal job of marketing. And I know that's, we all know that, but so what does that really mean? And I think when we think about it, let's talk about the previous example, marketing a virtual open house well, doing that, but then being active on social media with useful tips. I love the posts that I'm seeing from my realtor friends that are very successful, that they're posting things on, one in particular, here's something that he's been doing, and he's been one of the top agents in this market for years. And he'll post a picture of himself like, hey, I have going in for another listing presentation. But you know what he's taking a picture of? He's wearing booties on his shoes. He's wearing a face mask. And he's posting those pictures. And guess what? Those people connect. Hey, he's concerned about his customers. And, and you can even see the comments on his post, like, awesome. And I don't want to name his name. I'm trying to prevent that right now. But you can see the post. But I think that's a phenomenal way to market yourself well and be sensitive to these times. Because I am seeing some agents too, very few, but I'm seeing some that aren't being sensitive to the times right now. So they're trying to be aggressive with their marketing without necessarily mentioning what's going on right now or being sensitive to it, which I don't think is healthy either. So that's not a good way to do it.
So we have two good questions that just came in for you, Mike. The first one is from Eric. He said, do you recommend a buyer-broker agreement before setting up a live virtual tour? And I guess that it might be different if it's a virtual tour for one individual person, which is, I think, what you're referring to, Eric. What's your thought on that? Should people be trying to, make this a closer in relationship, since people are concerned about maybe the number of people that might be coming through their home ultimately after a live virtual tour? What's your thought on that?
I from a business perspective, now you're talking to a business owner here. Do I think that's wise to do? I do. But sometimes I think we put hurdles in front of ourselves. In other words, we'll force them to sign that, but you have to ask yourself, if that person pushed the issue, would you let them out of it? And, so how can you, and if you're doing that, then why put that hurdle and make them sign it? Because some people will react negatively to it. So anyhow, I think each of you individually have to make that decision. Me personally, I would want to try and establish a relationship there. I would not be, I would use the phrase wasting my time. I think everyone knows what I mean by that. I would be smart about it. You're doing work.
Well, and here's the good news. We've heard from a lot of different folks, but particularly people that are like buying leads and things on the realtor.coms of the world and getting leads through, platforms like Mike offers at Delta. There are definitely a fewer number of people that are interested in real estate right now, but those that are extremely relevant and extremely interested. In other words, they have to buy or sell right now. So to Mike's point, if somebody's asking for a live virtual tour, they're probably more serious than average and probably are worth trying to really establish a relationship. Now, Carlos has a different question. And Carlos, I might ask you to clarify this, but he said, would it be a good idea to video the walkthrough of houses for buyer clients? Like, in other words, other brokers' listings. So I guess that depends on if you can go through other houses right now, right? In some markets, you really can't do that. But what's your thought about that, Mike?
Again, it depends on your state. There could be some state issues even beyond what you just mentioned, with marketing as well. So you do have to be sensitive to that. So if you're filming a walkthrough of someone else's property and then you try and market that, at that point, are you marketing someone else's property that is not yours? So you could have, obviously there's some legal issues that you need to wade through there. But I do think, though, if you do that, if you're doing a walkthrough, why not record it and have it in your library just in case someone else asks for it? Not necessarily to do marketing on it, but so you have it already and say, hey, I did a walkthrough for someone else. Let me shoot you a link to the video. And maybe it's on YouTube as a private video, so it's not shareable. So you could easily do that. I think that would.
With the virtual open houses and the virtual showings and a lot of the technologies that are available, even if you can't do the walkthrough, you could probably access one from the listing agent that did do the walkthrough, right? So you could still do the same thing, even if you didn't physically do that work. And I don't know, Mike, we didn't really talk about the technology, and this isn't supposed to be a sales pitch, but can you just talk really quickly about the fact virtual open houses are now becoming, and virtual showings are becoming much more integrated into MLS systems and in tools like
Oh
yours,
yeah.
right?
Yes.
So
Yeah,
there's
they
going to
are.
be more and more of them available. Carlos said, to clarify, I mean, it's just my buyer and I send it just to my client. Save times, keeps them more safe. So yeah, again, I think if you
Absolutely.
can get in the house and it's a private, you could do that normally, right? You could go on a tour or whatever and do the same thing. And that's, not, I mean, it probably wouldn't hurt to touch base with the listing agent, but in that case, I think you're probably okay.
Yeah, but I think even to speak to Carlos's question, I think what the good agents do is let's take as example another step, because the house that we're in right now, we bought 2.5 years ago, and we were not looking, but we have a friend who's a realtor, and she knew what we were looking for. She saw this home, and she actually contacted us when we were on vacation, said, I have the perfect home for you. Are you still looking? I texted her back, said, well, not really. Would you mind if I send you the pictures? It was pictures. Like, yeah, go ahead and send the pictures. She sent them to me, and we bought it. You know,
so you never know.
I think to take Carlos's example, if he has a relationship with other people, and someone like me, that maybe Carlos, someone that has been looking, maybe they're not really right now, but you never know. But you saw a home that you think, hey, I've got the perfect house for Mike.
Right.
It's a quick text message. Hey, Mike, I just did a showing on a house that I think might be good for you. Would you want to see the video?
Right. Jerry just added to that. He said the same thing. As a listing agent, wouldn't it be prudent to also have a video walkthrough? I would say absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we've all known that virtual tours have been something that, many people have used for years. But I think the idea of something right now that's a little more, sort of real and unpolished, that's like you narrating the walkthrough, like you would do if you're with your client in the home, is probably a good idea.
Human.
Well, it's more human, and frankly, it might, you might, if you know the kinds of topics when you're using, in your market that you're working with buyers on that are really hot, you could, pull down the oven and go, oh my God, it's a Wolf stove, or whatever the topic happens to be. Whereas a polished virtual tour is more of a pan. It doesn't necessarily stop at the things that you think might be the most important in that house or the best features. So,
no, and you really can't, Marilyn. I do want to mention that I don't think you can, even though we sell some products that are like automated and like automated videos, I don't think you can replace that walkthrough video, but it also gives you the opportunity to build your brand more, which is critical in these times. But to answer your question directly as far as technology goes, I think what you're going to see, and this is really what we focused on building, an ecosystem that was easier to use for the realtors. So something that was more seamless, more automated, gave them the ability to market a virtual open house as if it were any other open house. In other words, the only behavior change is the fact that it's virtual. And also another change that the listeners might not be thinking of is the way that people search for an open house now is going to change. So like a feature that we have launched and we're building in and we keep extending it right now is if you have a recorded walkthrough of a property, why in the world would you force someone to wait until Sunday at 1 to watch that video? So we have some persistent open houses, if you will, where that video is always available. So you do a property search and you can see the properties that have a walkthrough video like this associated with them as an always open house, if you will.
And Sherry just made the point, could you link the video through your association board? And Sherry, and this is something I would recommend to everybody that's on the call, go to your local MLS, especially if you use Matrix, because I know they've already built this solution. And now where you used to have a tab that would say open house or showing appointment, which of course in many cases you can't do either of those right now, many are adding a virtual showing tab as one of the options. And so you can actually put your virtual showing recording inside of the MLS. And what's great about that is it's getting published into the syndicator. So you could go to Zillow and you would be able to see it, or wherever else that your listing might get promoted. So not only within the MLS, but everywhere else. So check. This is another one of those things that's happening day by day. Check with your MLS, and if they aren't doing it, tell them it's possible. Tell them, for Matrix specifically, I would like you to do what FMLS did, which is in Georgia. I just saw this a couple days ago, and it's possible. It's literally just adding another tab, and it's they've already engineered it, so it's not a big deal. You just got to get your MLS to do it. So if they haven't, ask them to, because it could be really helpful for you.
Yeah, and you need to have that. The majority of the MLSs have announced they're going to be supporting this, and we're starting to see data feeds changing, which is good. So we get those in the data feed. The one caveat that I would add is be sure to check with your local board as to any specific rules and regulations as it relates to a virtual open house video. Some do have some specific regulations. I would hate to hear that you recorded something and then, it doesn't meet the regulations. I have to re-record it. What a pain. So just check into that.
Yeah, I agree. And if they don't have it yet, what people are doing is they're posting links in the public remarks, and that's okay. It'll show up in IDX feeds, but it will not show up in any of the syndicators. They're stripping out those links. So it's better than nothing, but it's better if they do have the virtual open house as an opportunity for you. But either way, at least you're getting some exposure to it, even with IDX, which is going to all the local broker websites. Okay, should we go to our next slide then, Mike?
Yeah, let's go to the next slide.
Okay.
So another area that I think that really this is the perfect time to do this because all of you are really busy, but this is cliche. Everyone that you hear talk will say, hey man, work your CRM or update your CRM. Well, what does that really mean?
Exactly.
Let me give you just some actionable things that you could do that I think are very relevant. Number one is to organize your groups. So if you keep your CRM organized in groups, you can create, or there's tagging as well. All good CRMs would support groups and tagging. It just depends on, and let me explain what that means. Basically, a group is you put those people into a folder, so to speak. Tagging is like keywords. Like you can add keywords to people. So groups are groups are a little more formal. Tags, you can do a bunch of them typically.
But groups would be like it'd be a certain part of town or a past client versus a prospect, or what kind of groups would you see people creating?
To be honest with you, Marilyn, we see it depends on how the agent wants to operate. At least the way that we've built our CRM, it's so flexible that it just depends on how the agent wants to work. So, but here are some things that you would do. As far as what part of town, either they've bought or that they're interested in. So not just location, but also personal interests. So if you see a property that it abuts up to like a hiking trail or something like that, hey, here's all my clients are interested in hiking or walking, or I can market directly to them, things like that. But by age, by family, especially right now. So what you have to think through right now is think of all the issues that families are dealing with through this right now. You have some of your customers saying, wow, I'd love to have a pool right now. Wouldn't it be nice if we had a bigger patio? Wouldn't it, there are different things that are going through their minds. I believe that we'll see people, we'll see. I have a prediction. This is kind of a hunch. I don't have data to back this up yet. But I believe we're going to see additional activity because of this, where people realize, oh, the house I'm in, we can't really enjoy it as much as we thought because we were stuck in it for a month. And we don't like this and this. They have a whole list of things they don't like about it now.
Yeah,
so
I agree with you.
An opportunity.
We've pushed down the boundaries of what our houses can do for us right now in ways that nobody ever anticipated. Gotcha.
Yeah, so much so, Marilyn, that hopefully some of your viewers or listeners will appreciate this. I'm in Ohio. This morning it was snowing. It wasn't supposed to be, but I opened our pool. So our pool is open. So there was some irony. So this week we had a tornado. We had 70-degree weather and sunshine, and then we had a downpour and now snow this morning. So, but the pool is open, and we're using it this weekend.
I don't care. I'm going in that pool.
Yes.
That's funny.
So anyhow, but it's things like that. So I think now's a good time though to clean up your CRM, but then not just clean it up. Go ahead and use it. So go ahead and do some marketing based on, hey, I just went through and cleaned it up. And let me give you some other ideas too. This kind of goes to the last slide of marketing yourself well. But within your CRM, if you have people that bought recently, or let's say 4 years ago, are they set up for, we have something we call Market Watch or Property Watch report. If you're a buy-side user, I mean, that's something that competes with us, but I don't mind mentioning it. If you have it, you can set up reports to go to your clients, be proactive, engage with them, so that they can be seeing those things. So the key is to be doing good communication. And one thing here, mention something on the last. Can you go back one slide, and then we'll move to this slide. But one thing that I want to mention on communication is, if you have downtime right now, I know I'm trying to keep a normal schedule. I still have my routine as if I'm going to the office, shower and everything. But so try and keep a routine.
It's funny that we think of that as optional.
I know, isn't that
shower,
weird?
Right?
Yeah, I even took a shower this morning as if that's
wow.
as if that's me. Yeah. But now's the time, if you find yourself like I do sometimes, hey, I have an hour now that I don't have anything to do. We'll go through, update the content on your website, maybe build out some community content that you might not have there. Or if you have the ability to set up certain property searches in your system that you use, like we have that ability, get those set up. Again, there's different things that you could be doing. And one idea that I even have here that you could even be sharing something on social media like, hey, for those of you that are cooped up and wish you had a bigger patio or a pool, here's all the homes for sale right now with a pool in our area. Just little things, and link to that on your website. Just things like that I think could be creative. So.
And I mean, have you found, and I know you're biased about your own clients, but I would guess that because of some of these things are not things that people normally have focused on because they're too busy selling. Are the vendors, your competitors and you guys up for when someone tries to do this and they're like, oh, I don't really know what a tag is or how to create a group or whatever. Should they be relying on their vendors to call them and have them help them through this stuff? And I know you've done a ton of training, not just for your tools, but others. Michael, can you grab that link and post it publicly, the one that Mike sent us? Because they've got some really good training and they have a really good blog too. That's, again, not just about what they do, but just in general about things to prepare yourself for. So another really good resource for you guys to take advantage of if you can. That's what this coffee chat thing's about. It's just giving you every opportunity to learn something new. So if we can post that, we can show you that you can go there. They've had some really good sort of how-to training that's not just about their system, just in general, like expanded version of what we're talking about today. So yeah, there it is right there. So it's deltamediagroup.com, the blog /blog. And then if you go to that page, you're also going to see at the top, there's what's it called? Virtual selling, or what's that category on your website called, Mike?
Yeah, so up at the top of the site, there's like a red bar that says virtual open house webinars, videos, blog posts, and guides to help you keep your business running.
So definitely to check those out.
Yeah, and in all sincerity, we really did, about 3 weeks ago, we were putting some of this together. We saw what was happening, and I sincerely believed, hey, it's our job to help, not just our own clients. I mean, obviously we'll have training and tips for them, but those, especially the two webinars, the recordings that we put out yesterday or Wednesday out there, are really good on using either an iPhone or an Android to do a Facebook Premiere open house or virtual open house video. And it's literally all but about 5 minutes. There's only about 5 minutes that where we talk about here's where you put it in the DeltaNet platform. Other than that, it's all good training for anyone. Right. And
that's really what we're looking to help you guys with right now. Okay, let's go to the last slide then. Is there anything else that we want to add here? And then I want to talk about what we've got coming up next week to make sure that you guys can take advantage of all the stuff that we've got for you.
Yeah, I would just say now is a great time. That the kind of the fifth area where I see successful agents really pivoting right now is they're updating their marketing plans, or for them, they're tweaking them a little bit and with a little more strategic direction with what is happening. Because I do want to caution the economists that I listen to, and I still believe them. He did not update his projections 2 days ago when he had an opportunity to. He still expects this to be a V. In other words, we have this huge drop. We go down, our economy goes down, but he says it will shoot straight back up, is what he's still calling for. And he specifically called out the real estate industry, saying real estate was really strong. And I have to share, because Marilyn, you know this, I get into a lot of data analytics and projections and all that. I was projecting that 2020 was going to be a phenomenal year based off the analytics we were seeing. And he even said the same thing, that, hey, real estate's in an upswing. He expects it to come back really well. Now, again, he always clarifies that to say, well, if this gets prolonged a lot longer, though, all bets are off. And I think we all get that. But the good news is that, it's going to come back. And so I think now is a very strategic time to spend this time, do your homework now, because if, let's just say I don't know what it is, 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 or 8 weeks from now that it hits, if we're really busy, we want to be prepared for that.
Exactly. And so I wanted to, on the screen are what we've got coming up next. And if you look into the tab, into the chat box, everyone, just click on that little triangle. It'll open it up for you. There's a link to register for Monday's coffee chat. If any of you are not using the Realtors Property Resource, or RPR, that's a free tool that's available to every realtor in the country. That is a great tool, especially if you're reaching out. And what I've heard a lot lately is, so I want to call all my clients, and the first thing I want to ask them just is, how are they doing, right? I just want to check in on them. But then if they ask me something about, well, is my house worth less now? Is this going to be like 2008? All of those kind of questions. RPR is a great tool, and it sounds like, Mike, you've got one too called Market Watch, which is probably similar. It gives the person a kind of a down and dirty market overview, as well as a little bit of a CMA on what their property is worth right now. So that's a great one. Rachel Lee's coming up on Tuesday. She's going to teach us all kinds of kind of like what we're doing today, some really tangible tips. And then we've got Alicia, Jim Lawson's from Terradatum, and he's got some great ways to use video for us. And then Kim Hansen and Deanna Hall are from an MLS down in Palm Beach, Florida. They're going to show some ways that MLSs can help you, because most of you are probably either still paying for your MLS or at least still have access to your MLS. And there's tons of technologies that they offer that you're already paying for, that maybe now you're not even paying for, which is even better. So more to come. But we put the link for all of our chats are in there, or all of the links. So we've got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. You guys, register. And if you want to give us any feedback on how these coffee chats are working for you, if they're helping, hurting, is it detailed enough, not detailed enough? I'd love to hear your feedback on them, because the whole idea of doing this is to try to help you ride this thing out. And as Mike said, come out the other side much, much stronger. Because, it's like, I feel like it's almost like a big balloon. We keep blowing and blowing and blowing. And as soon as we get out of this, it's going to explode, and there's going to be all kinds of opportunity for you guys. So you want to rest up, stay healthy, prepare yourself for that, because inevitably there's going to be some significant pent up demand, and we want you to be there to be ready to take full advantage of it. So let's see if we have any other questions for you, Mike, before we run. Sherry says, love these. Thanks for hosting. Thank you, Sherry. Appreciate that. This one is from Adrian, who says, Facebook Premiere Open House can be done on an iPhone. I didn't see the video options like I did on my PC. Can you talk to that a little bit, Mike? Are you familiar with that platform enough?
I am, actually, and They are correct. And we have in our training webinar, we do show the best method that I recommend for getting the video from your iPhone to your laptop, your personal computer. Unfortunately, at this time, you cannot set up a Facebook Premiere from your smartphone. It's kind of a pain. I agree.
Okay. So
but it only takes you.
Computer.
Yeah, it's easy. It's still really easy to do. Yeah.
Okay, got it. And Howard Sanford's asking, can we register for all of the webinars at one time? And I would say, Howard, they are separate links. But if you want to put your email in that in the box there, we'll register you for them, as long as you're giving us permission to do that. We're happy to do that for you. And if there's anybody else that would like to do that, just put your name down in the chat and your name and email address, and we'll be happy to register you for all of them, just to save you some time. So with that, I think we're at the top of the hour. Oh, actually, there's a few more. Let's see. Oh, we got a few names. Thank you, guys. We'll definitely register you for them. That's awesome. So Mike, thank you so much, and thank you for what you're doing for your clients and for the industry, and being magnanimous and sharing all that training content with all of us. We all just got to pull together through this. And I'll leave on one really positive note. So we just, as my other company, Wave Group, which is a consulting company, we posted a survey across the country, a COVID-19 survey, and we asked people a whole bunch of questions, which we'll be publishing shortly. But one of the things we asked was, how are people feeling, right? And so it was everything from, I'm afraid, I don't want to get sick, I'm afraid I'm going to go out of business, all the negative things. But the number one answer that we got back from realtors was, I'm cautiously optimistic. And I think that's a great way of looking at the world. And I think it's a testament to realtors out there everywhere. You know what? You guys are tough. right? You don't choose real estate because it's an easy path. I mean, it's, to wake up every morning without a job is not an easy thing to do. So, here's to all of you guys that are doing these kinds of things proactively, but for being in our industry and serving, with people's one of the absolutely their most important precious item, their home and the place where they house their family. So good to all of you, and everybody have a great weekend. Rest up because we got another big week coming, and God only knows how long we're going to be in this crazy lockdown that we're in. But use your time wisely, but give yourself a little grace. If you feel just some days you just can't do it, it's okay. Just give yourself some grace. That's all I can say. There's nothing more emotional than being in a completely uncertain time, which is where we are right now, right? So it's okay if you sometimes just say, I know I should feel motivated. I know I should do these things, but I just can't. It's okay. Get up the next morning, get your cup of coffee, and away we'll go. Okay. So everybody have a great weekend. Thank you again, Mike. I really appreciate your help. And remember to go over to their website because there's great resources for you there. And hopefully we'll see you all on Monday talking about RPR and how they can help you with free tools that's offered through the National Association of Realtors. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.